All right. Welcome everyone to today's Helm developer call, Thursday, October the 24th. The call falls under the code of conduct, CNCF code of conduct rather. So please be polite. And the call is recorded, so if you don't want to appear on camera, please disable your camera. Um, so for the agenda, which because I am running late, I have not yet pulled up. Um, let me do that. Is there any announcements that I find the doc? Thanks, Scott. No announcements. Um, I have on the discussion. I feel like is Imri on the call?
I
I
don't
feel
think so.
like
I think he's just been adding the item to discussions for like the last few weeks. I responded to the addition to the doc and asked if he could make it or if they could make it. But I haven't heard back. So I'm assuming
um
they're hoping we address it without them here.
that was yeah, what I was going to ask is mostly that. It seems he is adding it. The hope we may discuss it. Is there uh anybody who has more context
I
than
mean,
myself?
yeah, he's pinged me about it, and it requires me to find time to dig into the issue, which I just have not had. My top priorities with Helm 4 or with Helm right now are not that pull request. I got one or two others, and then heck, there's a presentation coming up in like 3 weeks, and we've got to kick off Helm 4, which is something later. And so those have all become higher priorities than his thing, and I just have not been able to find the time, but it is on my to-do list as one of the open things there. Just he can keep asking. It's just as the to-do list gets whittled down, it'll eventually pop up.
Yeah, there's the squeaky wheel gets the grease. But obviously time allowing. Uh okay. So I guess there's not that much to discuss here. Um, I I think this has been discussed. I think it comes down to design decision, if I remember. Maybe. Um, anyway, let's move on. I can try and take a look.
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
think Matt, I looked at it too. Matt asked some good questions, and I think there were a couple of opinionated answers, but not. I think we probably just need to look at it and have a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't even remember what I said before, so I'd have to become entirely refreshed before I could even talk about it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's not spend too much time on it now. Hopefully we'll be able to address in the future because he's at least enthusiastic. Um, so Karen, updating the logos.
Yeah, so I was looking at the website earlier this week because I was trying to add KubeCon as an event to the homepage. And I just kind of noticed that some of the contributor company logos are a little bit outdated. So kind of wanted to get people's thoughts on updating it. I'm happy to figure out how to do that.
I can make a PR.
Sorry, what was that?
I can make a PR for it.
Yeah, I guess part of me bringing this up is like, how do we want to think about like taking off logos that were companies that did support? Like, yeah, like where do we stand on who we include, right? It's like Microsoft obviously like played a big part in this, and I think they still like pay for a lot of our infrastructure costs, but for other companies like Blood Orange, which was Josh Salitsi's company, like that's not around anymore. Yeah, so like what's the philosophy around keeping logos versus taking them off, if anyone has thoughts there.
I mean, if the companies don't exist, isn't it fair to let them go?
Yeah, but some of it gets more than that. So one of the maintainers worked for the Montreal government, and you see the logo for their government's website there. But that person is now at what is it, Broadcom VMware, and they
Yeah.
don't work for the Montreal government anymore. So do we keep that logo up there or not? And I think that's the deeper conversation we need to have.
Does
Should I
Same thing for
CNCF,
keep this in Slack or yeah?
does
It's like-
CNCF have any guidelines?
Well, we know what other projects do, at least. Usually there's some documentation on, if I understand correctly, you can have a support page on your website, or even just put it on the front. I mean, we actually had a long discussion with well, actually, Matt's on the TOC now, but so maybe you can answer. But we had a long discussion with TOC folks about that during Flux graduation process, and even just with the Open GitOps project, because so many people were involved. There was a complaint lodged, which I can say easily, that someone was unhappy that the major companies' logos were kind of like higher up. I think we were trying to let folks know that it's actually like in use by major places. And so there were just some discussions around how to make that fair. And I think that was all there really was. And then the rest was on a case-to-case basis. But that's all I really
Yeah. And we probably need to write up a policy on this, but it was essentially what companies were actively contributing to Helm, right? And if you go look at these companies here, you had people who were Helm maintainers or who paid and donated infrastructure to Helm, and that's how the logos got up there. It was people involved in those things. And these were the active companies and people involved in Helm when all of this happened. And the logos are just in alphabetical order. So it wasn't just anybody, and it wasn't support. So I'm not on the TOC anymore, but one of the things that you have to do, because the CNCF is a 501c6 US nonprofit, which is a member benefit one, and you can't prioritize any member over another member with any of the stuff. So you can't treat, one company as a special company compared to other companies involved. Now, if you are a project and companies offer support services, if they come along and say, hey, I offer support services, and you do a support service listing, you need to, in a fair and equitable way, just list them all. In our case, we're not doing something like that because that is something that's come up as a problem in the past with projects. We're just saying this is where our contributions of time and money are coming from by putting your logo here. And so I suggest it needs a policy written up, and then we just need to revise this with where people who are currently involved are at, right? Like, do we put, because, we got Andrew, he's not here today, but do we put up a Red Hat logo on here as well? Because they're a contributor. There's things like that. And we'd have to get permission for any of the new logos and follow proper processes because companies have stuff about that. Yep, Scott, we need. So we can't just throw up logos. We normally want companies to have their representatives add it with permission. But we can clean up the other ones and do an open call to the maintainers to add theirs.
Yeah, at least Weaveworks can be removed, and I would assume Blood Orange too.
Blood Orange and Weaveworks should both be removed because they are business entities that are no longer in existence. Those are pretty easy. The others, we should probably have a policy and discussion on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make the PR for those two at least.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott. In the interest of time, I was going to keep us moving forward.
What I'll say is, can you give Karen and myself an action to go come up with a policy? Does that work, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm
Right.
gonna
Yeah,
Oh.
keep it going, Karen. Yeah.
I was just gonna move my next agenda item to yield to other people because mine isn't as time sensitive. So yeah.
I was going to say, I do actually have a PR to try and update this, I think in draft, which I made some time ago. So I can probably try and revisit this.
And Terry Howe has a PR that updates all of it as well. It does need feedback because he removed some things that we actually need, which is the redirect with GoGets. But otherwise, he did go through a bunch of stuff. It does need some work, but he's got a fully functional one that's a rather large one sitting up there now too.
All right. I guess Michael, I actually did find this PR, Michael, and I will try and review it. It's going to take some time to make sure nothing's broken, etc.
Yeah, that's fine. Great. Thanks.
Matt kept for Helm v4, which I guess you mean
Yeah. So George has introduced HIP updates because the HIP for Helm v4 was a draft, and I've dropped a link in there. We need to go iterate through this. I would love to see this merged by next meeting with any changes that need to be made to it, because if we open it up in November, then that's could possibly be a week from Friday at the earliest to open up Helm 4 development, or the Monday after. We want it all open before the start of the conference. So this is the call for maintainers to go review the HIP, give some feedback, then we can incorporate it. And I would love to see it merged by Monday. It's not a high barrier to get it approved and merged. It just needs, normal reviews like you would for a normal Helm pull request. But more than a couple of us should be okay with this going into it. So if at least those of us who are on the call, and maybe Andrew as well, give it the thumbs up, then we should hopefully be able to get something merged by next Thursday, so we can announce it next Thursday. Hey, it's merged. We can move forward. So I consider this one a high priority for folks to take a look at.
I lost my audio for a second there, so I'm not sure if it was said, but my goal in writing this was to get everybody on the same page for what we want to achieve for Helm 4. And I think that's going to be an important cornerstone for making sure we produce the right thing in 6 months' time, when everybody's like heads down trying to write some features. So it would be super useful if everybody can give feedback, and if I'm writing the wrong thing, then please let me know. Hopefully it's agreeable, but obviously it's important to get this right.
Yeah, we stopped. I'll review it too again now. I know that initially we were meeting about this weekly, and then we paused on that for a while. But I guess, George, the only question I have is there anything substantively different that you wanted to note since those meetings? I will look at it in detail, but just
so
I don't think so, but
yeah, Scott, if you go back in the notes a few weeks, I linked to a document, I think, in here. We've been kind of putting together, here's our plan, here's our timeline, things of that nature. So like timeline, announce it, Helm 4 development here, then at KubeCon a year from now, have the release for Helm 4. There's certain things like that we're looking at. We talked about what's in scope versus out of scope, like we're not going to break anybody's environments and stuff. But
right,
we're time boxing it rather than everything.
Sorry, where was the note?
It's from a previous meeting. I don't remember which meeting, but in the last few weeks, there was a Google Doc on it. I can share it with you afterwards. I just know it should be linked out of here somewhere.
Got it. Didn't mean to interrupt that. I was
Because
listening.
yeah, we've been pushing it forward, and none of this says exactly what's in scope. There's a little that says what's out of scope. Like we're not changing the scope of Helm. Helm is a package manager. We're not going to jump into somebody else's space.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Cool. Yeah. Any comments would be super appreciated. So I've got Patrick. Hello, Patrick. I don't know if we've had you on the call before, but yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks.
We've got Helmland output with serif format.
I'm gonna just kind of give a high level what this is. So if you haven't seen the serif format, I think it's becoming more popular as a sort of an output of static analysis tools to be able to view the results. Particularly, that's nice because it's kind of more transferable between products. Like a lot of different products need to support it. And so, although I think it's usually used for security tools, it seems to integrate well with linting tools as well. So I was thinking for the Helm lint and or the chart testing, I'm not really sure the overlap or separation there. But I think that would be really valuable to have that output available. One tool I thought kind of prompted this idea was ReviewDog, which was kind of a GitHub action to show you those results in line. So just like a really nice developer experience sort of thing. That's kind of high level. If there's any questions, or I can dig in more.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you
Cool.
good, Rob?
Do you want to contribute it?
I'll see if I can try to do a bit. I might not be able to do a ton at work, but I'll see
Okay.
how much I can get done. I guess the biggest question I would have is the linting versus the chart testing. Are both projects still kind of being worked on simultaneously?
They are, but they're worked on by separate groups of people mostly. The chart testing folks
Okay.
don't tend to attend this meeting. Your best bet is to get a hold of them in the issue queue or to submit PRs. I think this would be good to have in both places, but the Helm code base is maintained by a separate set of people, and the current people who are maintaining the chart testing tools just don't tend to attend this meeting.
Right.
They're already very busy with other things in this time. I think most of them are in Europe, and so this is a later time for them.
I see. Okay. Well, maybe I'll get started on the Helm linting, and hopefully from there that kind of helps with the chart testing. Awesome. Thanks very much.
Yeah. If there's a GitHub issue, or if you think it's going to be a significant amount of discussion to get the implementation right, then we have a HIP process, which is kind of similar to a Git or a Python pip or all those
Oh,
things.
okay.
Yeah, just reach out on Slack if you have any questions, and I can help.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Awesome.
I'll add myself to the Slack channel now.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for bringing this up. That does look like a good idea.
Awesome. Thanks.
Robert,
Mine's real quick. Just call for anyone to help up the coverage of our unit tests. We're at 94% of our files and just slightly less than 70% of our code has been covered. So I'm making a push to write as many tests before we go in there and start whacking. So if anybody else is writing unit tests and needs a review, please beat me up between now and forever, but now and before we do Helm for open development. So I'm making the call to my friends and family to help with pushing that.
awesome. Yeah, that's definitely
Absolutely.
yes. More tests, better. Thank you. Right. I think we already discussed the Hugo thing already a little bit, Karen. Is there anything more to do quickly?
I didn't catch it earlier for notes. Can you repeat what was sorry?
I think it was, I have a draft PR, but I think Terry Howe also has another PR which might update the version. I think Matt said from memory Terry's PR needs a little bit of work because he removed some stuff we use or something.
Who's I don't know, Terry. Did I spell that? Can you just edit that if it's wrong?
I think I remember how to spell.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Thanks.
Cool. I guess we've just fallen behind because it's never been updated. And why hasn't it been updated for some time? Hit review. If there's anything quick to add to this one, I didn't get a chance to review the resumability hip. I will actually try and do that today. I'll add that to the doc in a second. Shout outs. Right. Everybody sit down. Social media amplification.
I'm just gonna give an update on like what I have done already. I have several I have several tweets scheduled. There's like one for each week coming up leading up to KubeCon, and then I have a bunch during the week of KubeCon. So I think we are fairly covered there. Mainly just highlighting our 2 sessions on Thursday, and then also our booth kiosks in the project pavilion. So I have scheduled those, so hopefully I don't need to think about them anymore. But if anyone thinks of anything else, let me know. Like if any of you have, and I know there are like other Helm topics that are going to be presented. If any of you feel like that's like worth shouting out at, let me know. Or if you want to tweet something, I'm happy to retweet from the Helm account as well. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I don't think we've really done that much, right? But that would be fantastic, I think, to amplify things that are around Helm at KubeCon. I know for other projects where I've been paid to be a developer advocate for them, we've done that, gathered and kind of made a consolidated even page of talks that are around that tool.
Matt, were you thinking about doing a blog post for that, or do we just want to leave it at tweets? Otherwise, yeah, if anyone.
We should do a blog post that says, upcoming things so that people can find Helm stuff there and find out what's going on.
Mhm.
So yes, we should do a blog post on it. I was thinking not next week, but the week after, put the blog post out in November.
Yeah.
Although earlier might be too premature.
Okay, that makes sense.
Awesome. Yeah, we're leading up to the the KubeCon season, so I guess social media is going to be a bit busier than normal.
Do you think it would be fun? I mean, just a quick poll on this. Do you think it would be nice to accompany that blog post to have, a page on the Helm www site, the Helm website, with the schedule of Helm related talks? And I only ask that because things can change.
Yeah, and well, if something changes, then we just probably can update the blog post.
Just update
Right on
it.
the Helm homepage, there's a spot for upcoming events, which I think is what Karen was trying to update when she found the
Yeah.
logo stuff.
Well, and then also like yeah, the Hugo thing I think made it such that I don't think I can actually update that either.
Okay.
That makes sense. Updating the post makes sense. I remember in the past I had made a PR to also put an updated date when we made an update, but I think that's probably not necessary for something like this.
Keep us moving. We've got a few more minutes left. So assignments for the next poll, for moderator. Does anybody have any volunteering thoughts?
I can do it. I haven't in a while. And also I realize I've been conspicuously absent for at least a few weeks. So
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. Notes. I can do notes. Issue triage.
Yeah, drop me there.
PR review. I'll do some triage as well.
You're gonna put me now for PRs.
Yeah. And I want to keep on reviewing these hips that are out there. So that's my name, PR review. I will be here next week. Scott, by the sounds of it. Anybody else?
I'll be here next week.
All right. Yeah. Alrighty. Anything else before we close up? All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day and speak next week. And I will remind you to review that hip as well, the Helm 4 one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.